Okay, sir. Good afternoon and welcome to the Naval Base Secondary School. Let's not forget that these are the national school games. We shall talk about them in detail. Today is the third and fourth place matchup being played out between Anderson and Nan Chiau. And the very interesting part of it all is that Taewan Hui of Nan Chiau is facing off with Lee Yet-Yi of Anderson. Currently, as the score stands, Anderson have just won their first game, so they lead 11. They finished off with 11-7, and it will be interesting to see what can happen in the second game as we continue. Stay with us right here at the Naval Base Secondary School as we carry on with more action in the table tennis semi-finals. It's the girls Division B North results. Remember, we're going by zone this time, and that's all we're going to stick to, keeping in mind that COVID hasn't been too pleasant and too helpful on all of us. So in just a little bit, we get on to the second game being played out between Nan Chiau and Anderson. We've just been looking at a few of the players and how they've been performing. As I said, it's Lee Yet-Yi who's currently in battle with Wen Hui. As it currently stands, it is the girl from Anderson who's in the lead. And Anderson, of course, just to identify them, are in the orange t-shirts and the black with the more trimmings and the red. Well, that's a very fancy t-shirt actually that Nan Chiau do have. I do love it. And it's 1-1 in the second game. So Nan Chiau leading in this one. Remember, as I did say earlier, it was Anderson that picked out the first win, and that was with a very impressive performance coming from Yet-Yi. But in the second game, it certainly looks like it's Wen Hui who's fighting back as hard as she can, has netted that one. So the serve goes over to Yet-Yi back again. Not really a one-sided game, this one. Well, the first one just saw Anderson racing away to that win, but this time around it's Wen Hui who's really trying to do as best as she can. likes to use a bit of backspin. She does toss up the ball, likes to use a bit of backspin. That's what Wan Hui does. Just to remind you back again, this is of course the third and final game between Yiti and Wan Hui of Anderson and Nan Chiau. The scores, Nan Chiau leading by 6 points to 4. They won one game each, and the first matchup so important because that's what gets the nerves done away with. That's what sets it up for the next few battles that have to come up. But who will claim the first event? That's a big question. It's turning out to be quite a fight here with Yiti fighting back as hard as she can. She's 2 points now behind Nan Chiau's Wei Hui or Wan Hui. So very interesting to see if the girls can really come up with the goods here. And that lead just been reduced to a huge margin now. It's just 1 point that separates the two. Can Anderson GT fight back? Started off on the left foot in this third and final game of their match, but she's fought back. And has got herself into a commanding position with 8 points to 6. Let's remind you that these are the Singapore Schools Sports Council initiative, which is the National School Games. The table tennis is what we're concentrating on. The North Zone Girls Division B, third and fourth place matchup happening right now between Anderson Secondary and Nan Chiau Secondary, and that'll be followed by the finals later on. So a very close battle, as I said. Here we are. Wan Hui just a point ahead. So important now the next few rallies and serves between the young ladies, and she's actually moved to match point. Oh, this was such a close game till now, and that's pretty much it. So there we have it. Wan Hui of Anderson claims the first win for Nan Chiau by getting the better of her opponent Lee Yiti of Anderson 2-1 in the first match. So here it is, Nan Chiau lead by 1 event. We'll move on to the doubles, the first doubles of the event in just a little bit. Do stay with us to find out if there will be a comeback from Anderson, and can they power their way back to getting themselves on a level footing. Remember, when we're talking about 5 elements, there's 3 singles and 2 doubles. We are looking at the best of 5, and when it concerns the best of 5, it does mean that whichever team reaches a win of 3 elements first, that's 3 matches, they pretty much have nailed the third place position in this event. So looking ahead, with 1 win in the bag for Nan Chiau, they need 2 more, while I'd say that Anderson need to win the next one to stay on par. Let's find out what transpires as we get back to the table tennis right here at the Naval Base Secondary School in just a little bit. Welcome back to the Naval Base Secondary School. Just in case you've joined us a bit late, then good afternoon, and it's great to have you join us to watch the action of the table tennis event. This, of course, is the North Zone Division B. Third and fourth place matchup being played out between Anderson Secondary and Nan Chiau Secondary. It was Nan Chiau to win the first battle, which was a singles event with Wan Hui defeating Yit Yi of Anderson 2-1 in the singles. What will transpire in the doubles? Let's get ahead and find out. Just to get you acquainted with the young ladies at the table, for Anderson, in the white and blue shoes, it's Lim Shuan and Tan Yong-gi with the black shoes and that lovely orange patch on it. So Shuan and Yong-gi are the representatives of Anderson. For Nan Chiau, it's Mildred Theo. Mildred is the young lady without the spectacles, and Fong Li-ying is the young lady with the spectacles. So not too difficult to figure these young ladies out. Very interesting bit. Both schools do have a heavy concentration when it comes to sports. They have about 2 training sessions a week, and that includes about 3 hours for each training session, which means 6 hours of dedicated table tennis every week. The good bit about the schools is also that they do concentrate a lot on other sports events and do encourage most of their students to take part. Remember the holistic development aspect. It's not just the studies, but the sports as well. Games of strategy, board games, everything put together. Very interesting to know that some of the coaches have spent a good bit of time with their schools. And I was just talking to Coach Wu, who has been with Anderson for the last 6 years. He's seen all these young ladies develop from a tender age. And here we are into the first game. And first points here, always a joy for whichever side can pull them in. And it's Anderson who do win the first point. Well, was just trying to get that forehand moving, Mildred Theo, but did wise to leave it. So Nan Chiau lead 2-1. Mildred with the return. And this time around, it's turning out to be a battle as well. And that's what you really want. A lovely backhand there coming from Fong Li-ying. But sometimes you do have players who do rely very heavily on the backhand more than anything. Both the Nan Chiau players do have a default when it comes to, well, playing the backhand. Currently Anderson do lead them by a point. That's Ying with the serve. So Yonggi will serve again for Anderson as they lead 5-4. And this time it's even Stevens all over again. 5-all is where it stands. And now Mildred Theo to serve for Nan Chiau. Likes to open the pace of the bat just a little bit more when she's serving. And usually as players keep progressing, well, that entire move tends to get more subtle. One of the greatest improvements there is, I'd say, that smash. It's the first one I've seen of today, and it came from Ying. So Fong Li-ying with the first real slammer down the table. She was waiting for that. Did see her while the practice was on. She does like to just knock that ball down a bit hard. And it is Ying to serve. Tends to have a bit more subtlety in her action. Becomes a bit difficult to read, although you do know that most of the time she is using backspin, but could conceal a bit of side spin into her serve as well if she wants to. But that reliance can sometimes be your undoing, trying to keep that ball as low as possible. We had a decent rally going, but ultimately it was Xuan to get the better of Ying. And we are tied at 8 points all right here in the first doubles matchup between Anderson secondary and Nan Chiau secondary. Well placed, absolutely well placed by Xuan. Almost will combat that, almost does it. So that's pretty much it. Anderson cap off the first game, 11 points to 8, and it's an interesting turn of events because Nan Chiau also started off in quite an enigmatic fashion. They've got a strong player in Fong Li-ying, who does like to power up her shots a little bit, but it's Xuan and Yonggi who hold strong in the first game. Remember, it's a best of 3 we're looking at, and also let's remind you that it's a best of 5 when it comes to the actual event by itself. 3rd and 4th place position up for grabs. It's the girls from Anderson who are battling the girls from Nan Chiau secondary. And key elements to remember in this is whichever team reaches 3 wins first, that is if they won a singles, a doubles and another singles, they will win the 3rd place position. So left to be seen if Anderson can cap it off with a 2nd win here. The girls from Nan Chiau will have the serve, and it's Mildred Theo to start off the game. Well, Ying just aided by a bit of luck there from that edge. Always so detrimental. I have seen some players, of course, actually just once in a while return that. Tends to be difficult. Just looking to slam that down. I did mention this earlier. Ying does like to do that, but sometimes you might not get it right. So Anderson just creeping back into this game. They've taken the lead now. Just a light jab there, but that jab wasn't strong enough from Yonggi. Just a gentle rally, but that slight push from Yonggi, well, earning them points. Here's Ying with the serve, Mildred with the return. And she does that really well. If you look at it, it's a bit deceptive. Doesn't really play a power game, Yonggi, but does tend to just jab that ball enough to get the better of the opponent. Currently it's 4-3. And it was Xuan with the serve. Now we stand at 4-all. Turning out to be a close encounter of the table tennis kind right here in at the Naval Base Secondary School. So 5-all. It's neck and neck for the time being. I do remember the days when you have a good amount of 21 points to get through, and then how it was just reduced to 11 points in 2001 to make it more interesting. The International Table Tennis Federation will do that. We've got our timeout, and so important here to find out what the coaches actually talk to their players about. There's always bits and bobs of advice because they can notice what happens on the sidelines much better than what the players can see on the table, because in the momentum, in that entire process of the game, it sometimes gets difficult to read an opponent's game when it's a speed game. In badminton, maybe a little bit, you tend to read the opponent a lot better. In table tennis, it tends to become a bit difficult unless the player doesn't mix up their serve and their shots. So here we are back in. Anderson will resume with the lead of a single point over Nan Chiau. Remember, as I said earlier, for Nan Chiau, it's Mildred Theo and Fong Li-ying, and Xuan and Yonggi for Anderson. It's Yonggi to serve. It's looking to lob that over, and it's Nan Chiau's point. Unable to knock that in for Xuan. Aided by the net, but Yonggi will take it. No complaints there. I was trying to lift that. Ying probably needed just a little bit of a top spin on that to get that ball running back in. Still opting for the penholder grip. And I do remember when the penholder grip had become so popular, and a lot of the players from China, and then of course Japan and even Korea, used to like to use the penholder. We've got another timeout that's been asked for. Now, do not forget that the penholder grip really used for two reasons. One, it gives you just that slight bit more control once you get used to it, but it also can be very deceptive when it comes to the service. You can conceal a lot in your service with the penholder grip that you couldn't possibly do with a general normal grip or a classic grip. So here we have the coach of Nan Chiau in deep conversation. She does know how important this game is, and it's Ma Minglu, who's the coach of Nan Chiau. The one thing I have really enjoyed is how these girls have been focused. They enjoy their game. 8 points all, and here's Mildred with the serve. Both girls staying on the backhand, and I'm referring to Xuan and Yonggi. Happens so much stronger on the backhand, if you notice, which is why Nan Chiau will just try and force them into using the forehand a little bit. While on the other side, Nan Chiau do have a strong forehand prospect in Ying. So right now it is Nan Chiau who are at game point. Easy return from Ying. And that's the first tiebreaker that we have. It's deuce. So Anderson will claim the first point, and can they go on to win it? That's the big question. What's very interesting, of course, is that both the young ladies from Anderson, they do not like to smash. And sometimes that can be a default, or sometimes just a habit of play. Well, in my playing days, it was always that. Never really get into the aggressive part of the game. Love the spin aspect of it. And sometimes you just got to play to your strengths, and I think that's what Chuan and Yonggi are really doing out here. But it's 12-all now, and it's Ying to serve for Nan Chiau. Just an unforced error, puts the ball into Anderson's side of the table. And that's pretty much it. So it's the second event that Anderson have pulled off. As they lead by a very comfortable bit. So let's find out what exactly happens in this event here as we go on forward. Remember, the doubles, of course, is always the longer version of the game than the singles. And hats off to Anderson for what they've played. Nan Chiau really trying to fight back as hard as they can. So we are really looking at 2 games in the bag for Chuan and Yonggi. Well, sometimes you do have most encounters that can be a very, very one-sided, or I won't say sordid, but a very one-sided affair. But things happen to be different in this part of Singapore, where we've got close-in encounters. Here we are into the third, and it's well, Anderson did start off with the serve. Very crucial game for Nan Chiau. If they lose this, then it's pretty much the second event that they will drop in today's matchup with Anderson. Mildred trying to do her best. Anderson once again in the driver's seat, and Mildred, Theo and Ying will just have to fight back a little bit more. They are just a single point behind. Here's Ying with the serve. Can she power Nan Chiau towards a win? Remember, as I said, how crucial this particular third game is, especially if Nan Chiau to stay in it. Well, Anderson would just like to clean it up. Lovely ability to jab the ball just a little bit youngly. And Chuan does partner her with and that's exactly what I meant. Just that right amount of power required. No flamboyant smash, no massive topspin, doesn't go in for the forehand drive. Just that slight jab with the backhand, and it's come to aid a couple of times. So 8 points. That's where Anderson up. Nan Chiau at 5. And trying to, well, just close the face of that bat. Didn't work too well this time for Ying. But she's actually got an advantage in her forehand. She tends to be much more, well, confident with that than trying to use a bit of topspin from the backhand. Just waiting for the umpire's call. And the point, of course, will be played up. It's a slight let, and that's what made the difference in the previous serve. So 10 points to 6, and here we are at match point for Anderson. We've got a couple of match points in the bag. And just putting that wide. So that's pretty much it. They won in 3 straight games. And Lim Shu An and Tan Yong-gi of Anderson defeat Fong Li-ying and Mildred Theo of Nan Chiau 3-0 in the second event of the day, which was the first double. So currently Anderson lead 2-0 in the events. One more event for them to secure third place finish. Do stay with us right here at the Naval Base Secondary School as we continue with more action than ever in these exciting encounters in the Singapore School Sports Council's initiative, which is the National School Games Badminton, National School Games Table Tennis, sorry, and we are looking at the North Division B Girls event. Find out more when we come back in just a little bit, where the second singles matchup will kick off. Welcome back to the Naval Base Secondary School, where we just kicked off with the second doubles event, or second singles event of the day. Remember that this is the North Division, North Zone, Division B, girls event. It's Nan Chiau Secondary facing off at Anderson Secondary, and Anderson, of course, currently lead by 2 events after winning the first singles and doubles event. The current one is being played between Anderson's Yoon Sie and current singles event is being played between Yoon do stand corrected. Nan Chiau reports that won the first singles, with One Hui getting the better of Yiti 2-1. In the second, of course, it's Mildred Theo and Fong Li-ying who fell to 2-1 in Yonggi. So 1-1 is currently where it stands. As far as this game is concerned, it's left to be seen who can pull off the win between Sealing and Yun Shi. Very interesting, because it started off as again at a very close event between the two. Finally getting a hand on that smash. Yun Shi with the first aggressive move. Took a bit of time. Did watch the girls practice earlier, and it was quite an event to see them having a rally. So let's very quickly recap this event for you as it stands. This is a game which is the third and fourth place test between the two schools, and it's after the quarterfinal matchup saw Nan Chiau fall to Yishun Town 3-0 and Anderson fall to St. Nicholas Girls High, a secondary 3-0. So which is what brought them to the third and fourth place matchup. As far as the final event is concerned, that will be played out later between Yishun Town and St. Nicholas Girls. Back to the action on the table right before us, as Ling of Nan Chiau just leading by a single point. Just got the serve. That unforced error will not always be desirable by the young lady. Still trying to get back in. Both the girls do possess a very, very strong forehand smash, and we saw that earlier during the practice sessions. They're slowly crawling towards the final part of the first game, edging towards that game point. Can it be Ling who holds her own? And yes, she does. First game point for Ling of Nan Chiau. And sometimes, the net, as I said, can be a boon. Sometimes it can be, a big obstacle. So Yun Shi of Anderson, did try to fight back, but it's the young lady from Nan Chiau, Tan Si-ling, who wins the first game. Remember, for the singles, it's a best of 3 that we're looking at. For the doubles, best of 5. And that's Coach Ma Ming-lu of Nan Chiau having a word there with Tan Si-ling, and Coach Wu talking to Yun Si of Anderson. As I said that earlier, both these young ladies do like the power in the smash. second game of the second singles event. Two all in the second game, with Yunchi serving it, and of course an unforced error from her that will hand Nan Chiau a single point. Quick aggression and quick reflexes are always required in a game of table tennis. Remember, currently at the table right before us, it's Nan Chiau representing Nan Chiau, leads by a single game and leads 8-3 in the second game. 2 quick points for her. She's actually racing ahead to a smarter and faster finish, or can she hold that nerve here and keep that cool? Well, that's a big question, because the young lady from Anderson, Dai Yunxie, is also fighting back. Lovely serve there. They did toss it up quite a bit, but just had the right amount of spin on it. Looking to pick that across, but sometimes it does not always work in your favor. She's also the captain. With that timeout, well, let's just remind you that Nan Chiau is also the captain of the team. So she's one of the players that most of the girls look up to. Did have a small chat with her just before the game. Was telling me about how they do spend, well, a good bit of time in practice, and they do like to play a game that has a balance of defense and attack. None of their players really favor just defense. I did see the previous doubles pairing for Anderson did have a very strong reliance on a defensive game, but then that of course could be just a one-off. So here we are getting back into the second game in the second singles matchup. The link, just giving Yunxie a chance to draw level with that error on her serve earlier. Oh, well done. Just slicing the ball low enough, using a gentle chop every now and then, but now it's back again. Even Stevens right here in this game, as Yunxie and Ling are tied on points. 9-all. Oh, beautiful serve there earlier. Just getting the right amount of spin. And she's now at game point. That's Nan Chiau. Oh, sorry, it's Dai Yunxie of Anderson. But this is going to turn out to be a tough battle, as it's another tiebreaker. And the Anderson girl, well, actually holding a nerve. It's been a good comeback from her. She was far behind on points, about 8-3 in this game at one point of time. Now leads 11-10. But using backspin to good effect. It's probably what the coach would have told her. Very orthodox, and she's done it again on both with the backhand and the forehand. Very reliant on her backspin. And very smart move from Nan Chiau. Just using a bit of forehand side spin there to confuse the opponent. which has helped to draw level. Well, the greater of the two, well, spins, I'd say, the forehand spin, when you can actually master it, because the backhand spin always happens to be, or the backspin rather, always happens to be a very, very easier, well, move to master than the side spin. Oh, looking to smash that through. She wants the points as soon as possible. That's Yunchi, but that's put the ball now into Ling's part of the table. And that's a worthy win. Battling hard here. A very interesting, well, bit of trivia if you just want to understand that. Kansi Ling of Nan Chiau doesn't like to walk around with a bat. Remember, a lot of players, of course, do leave their bat on the table. There are some players who do like to pull that bat even when they move away. But normally the rule is that you can't really take it away too far, for the simple reason that it's already been checked by the umpire, so they don't want any sort of alterations or modifications made to it. That was a lot of aggression, but just failed to power that past the net. It was Yunchi. So she's still leading. And she's come back. She wants to play a game which has a bit more, well, dominating or intimidating moves, but she's done well. She's in a comfortable lead. She knows how important it is for her, the young lady from Anderson, Da Yunchi, because she's got to win this game if she wants to stay in the contest. We are playing at best of 5 here. Remember, as we said, it's currently on par that we're looking at for both teams, having won one event each. Timeout called, and Ma Minglu will definitely want to have a word with the poor young lady, that's Kansi Ling, because she has noticed that Yunchi has raced away with the points. Well, I did tell you earlier that the coach of Nan Chiau is a very, very important coach. Ma Minglu, very well known in the table tennis circuits, has been a big professional player in her own right at one point of time. So very well recognized. Now, just as we see it, it's a game point. She's got a couple of game points in the bag. Yunchi, can she win this game? A lovely finish there this time around. Just that right amount on her top spin from ceiling. Just looking to knock that back, but she is fighting hard. Needed to win one game to close proceedings here, but isn't she not allowing ceiling to do that? Finally, the first game for Anderson's Dayunchi. So it's been a very, very good win for Nan Chiau's ceiling. She did come back in emphatic fashion to finish off the last few points. Was behind for just a little bit. So as it currently stands, we are looking at Nan Chiau leading this event with 2 events to 1. Anderson have just won the doubles event so far. So here we go with our second doubles event of the day. Nan Chiau and Nan Chiau Secondary School and Anderson Secondary School facing off in this fourth event between the teams. Two events have been won by Nan Chiau. That's both their singles events, and the doubles was Anderson to cap off the win. Now it's Celestine Singh Kai Sin of Nan Chiau and Lim Si Ying facing off with Amanda Khan and Valencia Justin De Jong of Anderson. So we will get you acquainted with who the ladies are in just a little bit. Amanda has spectacles. She's the captain, and Valencia is the girl with the New Balance shoes with that's the pink lettering on the white shoes. Didn't mean to mention the brand, but it's the only brand that I've been using. So here we go, Amanda Khan and Valencia for Anderson, and they currently are in the lead. As I did mention, Amanda is captain of the team. Celestine with the serve. Partnered by Lim Si Ying. Oh, she's got a quick serve. Celestine. But currently Anderson and Nan Chiau level on points. And the serve, it's Valencia this time. Going for the kill as best as she could. Valencia trying to power that. Well, not all players have the serve where they thump their foot. Some do, and it's just a natural style of play. It's nothing that's really contrived or anything like that. So it's what works best for you. Some players come to gain confidence from that, and Anderson capping off the first win, 11 points to 8 over Nan Chiau. It's proving to be another fight back in the doubles teams for Anderson somehow. Just a little more, just have that edge over Nan Chiau as compared to what the singles players have been doing. So quite strong with the doubles, the Nan Chiau girls, the Anderson girls, and interesting to see what Valencia and Captain Amanda Khan can do when they get back into the action right here. They currently lead by 1 game. Remember, we're playing a best of 5, so it will be an interesting battle to see how the girls progress going ahead. Let me very quickly remind you that this is the table tennis girls B division North Zone 3rd and 4th place finish that we are looking at, and very interestingly, this is the 2021 National School Games Table Tennis Championship. Singapore School Sports Council has been the driver of this event as always, and more power to them for doing it this year after missing out on the event last year due to the COVID situation, which of course continues to affect us, but it's all about resilience and well, something that most of us in Singapore are known to do, be resilient. Don't let anything get you down. And what's definitely not getting the Anderson girls down is the fact that they know they've got a task on hand. They know they've got to pull off a win here. Game to his serving. Now it goes over to Delicia. Delicia to serve for Anderson. They are 3-all now. With just a few unforced errors coming in from the girls of Nan Chiau, and this time it was Celestine who knocked that ball into the net. It's the second time around that shot has just, or that portion of the table has just worried her a little bit. Well, the angle of the bat tending to be a little too low. Now leading by 3 points, Anderson. So it's a single point in the bag for Nan Chiau. And Amanda. So like I said, I do remember in the good old days, most of the lads from China used to have that serve for the national team. It was just that ability to knock it off, and there's a timeout that's been called. So that's 6-5, remember. Customary timeout, but sometimes we do have the coaches who call for one. Each side, of course, has a limited amount that they can call. So as it stands, Anderson have won one game. Nan Chiau are right behind, but what will transpire in the event of this second game is very important. Can the girls from Nan Chiau fight back, or will the girls from Anderson hold their own? So as we resume, it's very even Stevens here for Anderson and Nan Chiau, but not for too long. So lovely spin being generated there by the girls from Anderson. They've just been able to, well, pull that ball back into the net a little bit more. Well, you can tell the heat always plays a factor down here, and the girls from Anderson, they've been fanning themselves. Well, a table tennis racket, or bat as we used to call it back in the day, always a better option than using a badminton racket, which you could actually hit yourself with by mistake. So it's now Nan Chiau who are currently at game point for the second game. And it could be an interesting turn of events. Well, it certainly is. It's a 1-all in the second doubles matchup, and left to be seen what's going to transpire. Remember, we are looking at a best of 5, so an interesting matchup so far. Stay with us as we continue in this second doubles matchup and the battle between Celestine and Ying of Nan Chiau, and Delicia and Amanda Tan of Anderson. It's currently 1-all. So here we go, back again with the second doubles matchup as Amanda Tan of Anderson serves in. First points for Nan Chiau, and they will be happy. Celestine and Ying. They're just jabbing up far enough, but the ball unable to touch the surface. It was Celestine with the serve. Talk about a finish. You want to swat it as hard as you can, and that's exactly what she's done. Celestine for Nan Chiau. Ying does keep her back open at a certain degree, and you really want to figure out whether that's just a natural style of play. But it also makes it a bit difficult to read what shot she's going to play next. So Nan Chiau currently leading, and it stands at 3 points to 2. Celestine just using a bit of backspin on her shots. Unassuming, I'd say, the girls from Nan Chiau, but you do see a bit of backspin and well, side spin also used. I always love a backhand topspin. It used to be my favorite shot back in the day, so it's always one of the finest moves. I mean, it also means that my forehand was really weak. Lovely move there from Amanda Tan, trying to lead by example, the captain. They're currently Anderson fighting back Amanda with the serve. Here's Ying. Oh, that's a nice finish. They have had the aid of the net, but Celestine Seng Kai-shin does well. And this is the interesting bit about Anderson. They do go about their game in a very clinical fashion. And even though it's been neck and neck, it's actually made this matchup all the more delightful. So remember, this is the 3rd and 4th place finish of the girls' B Division North Zone Table Tennis Championship 2021. The net hasn't been her closest friend for young Celestine, but she will serve now. Just looking to generate a good amount of spin. Ying can be just a little bit predictable at times with her use of the backspin. So Anderson currently in the lead. They lead by 7 points to 5. It's a lovely rally building up. Well, not for too long. And Ying just finding those, well, just those finishing moves, or the execution at the end has been a bit tough for her. She's been able to get them right sometimes. She's netted most of them. And that's what you want to do with that light flick of the wrist. Just enough on the backhand, not too much of topspin, just a gentle bit, but more wrist movement. And when you want to get the job done and get back on level footing, that's the way to do it, says Celestine. So Nan Chiau is currently back on level terms. As you can tell, it's really hot for the young ladies down. I do feel a bit guilty having, well, being closer towards the fans. Remember, any sort of wind draft, whether it comes from a cooler, an air conditioner or a fan, that's never allowed on a badminton or a table tennis court. So you definitely want to make sure that that's not there. And I think the girls just feeling the heat a bit much. And if you didn't know that they were playing a sport, you'd think that, oh, these were just modern hand fans, or like the good old artistic one. So 9-all is where it stands currently. Celestine and Ying of Nan Chiau and Delicia and Amanda of Anderson fighting it out. And that's one of the greatest flaws whenever you have a ball that's tossed up. The finish can be really difficult if there's a bit too much of spin on it. I think that's an amazing win. Anderson coming from behind to win this game. So they currently lead 2-1. I would be surprised. It was Nan Chiau who just raced into the lead at the mid part of the game, but here, very interestingly, Anderson, Delicia and Amanda Than really knocking that ball back in as and when they could to finish off with a single lead. So if Nan Chiau want to stay in this game, they've got to win the next set. If they don't want to win this game, if Anderson win it, Anderson will claim this match, and it could be a 2-all finish. So right now, we do stand. It's even Stevens, as we said, as far as Anderson win this, because currently Nan Chiau lead by 2 events to 1, or to be precise, 2 matches to 1. But has found it a bit difficult to chop that with the forehand. And sometimes when you're playing close to the net, you've just got to be so sure. Ying with the serve. Celestine aiding a partner. Ying looking to knock that back in. And Anderson. So battle on here between Nan Chiau and Anderson. Remember, as I said, if Anderson do win this, it goes to a best of 5 as far as the matches are concerned, because Nan Chiau already have 2 singles in the bag. Anderson have 1 doubles event in the bag. Currently, it is Anderson who lead in this game as well as in the sets. And 6 points for Anderson. And there we have the timeout. So crucial as to what will happen when the girls resume. It could be an entire turn of events. It could be Nan Chiau, well, coming from behind to win this event, or it could just be a straight off win for Anderson. So Anderson, well, did come back from the break or from the timeout with a very, very strong lead, and that's exactly what they've been doing, generating the points. They currently are 2 points ahead of Nan Chiau. What's interesting is, can they, well, come up with the goods here? Can Nan Chiau come up with the goods to steal a win? Because remember, they are in with the set, but it's match point for Anderson. And that's pretty much it. So Anderson capped this off with a 3-1 win. More power to the girls, Delicia and Amanda Tan. Amanda is, of course, the captain of the team for Anderson Secondary. So 3-1 the final score as they defeat Celestine Singkai-sin and Lim Si-ing of Nan Chiau. So 2-all is how it stands in the events. 2 doubles events won by Anderson and 2 doubles events won by Nan Chiau. Stay with us for the last event, which will be, of course, the finale, to find out who wins the best of 5 and who claims the 3rd position in the B division of the Table Tennis Championship 2021 girls in the North Zone. Well, the toss going on for the last event of the battle between Anderson Secondary and Nan Chiau. Let's tell you about our 2 young ladies who are, well, right in front of us. We've got Amber Ho for Nan Chiau and Liao Wanjing for Anderson. Remember, this is the most crucial event of all the 5 that have been played out. Keeping in mind the fact that Nan Chiau have won 2 singles, Anderson have won 2 doubles. The winner of this will help their school claim the 3rd position, pushing the other back to 4th. Very interesting how these girls got here. I'm not going to run you through the entire route of their journey to the final, but I'm going to tell you what happened in the semi-final, in the quarterfinals. So, or in the semi-finals, sorry. In the semi-finals, it was Yishun Town who got the better of Nan Chiau, 3-0. It was just 3 straight matches. And St. Nicholas Girls got the better of Anderson, also 3-0. 3 straight matches. Which kind of gives you a feeler with those scores that the teams that we're looking at right now, which is Anderson and Nan Chiau, happen to be fairly well matched in skill and strength. What will Yishun Town and St. Nicholas bring to the table? We'll find out later when they contest the spot for champions of the North Zone in the girls B division. But right now, the 3rd and 4th place, it's still very much open. So this is what has been an interesting bit. The games have been longer. But it's been an exciting competition between Nan Chiau and Anderson for the simple reason that they've got skills that can go up against each other, they can test each other out, and they do have a few tricks that they can pull out of the bag every now and then. It certainly hasn't been one-sided. Stay with us. We will start off with the action in just a little bit as the girls get warmed up, practice their shots, and it'll also give you a feeler of what kind of style of play these ladies will bring to the table. Stay with us. We've just started off with the action right here at the Naval Base Secondary School. It's 1-1 as it currently stands between Anderson and Nan Chiau. Remember, I did get you acquainted with the young ladies in front of us. It's Amber Ho and Liao Wanjing. Wanjing representing Anderson, Amber representing Nan Chiau. Was looking to finish that. Had the expression, just a slight, error in her execution. So interesting how we've actually taken this all the way to a best of 5, and how the young ladies are doing their level best to, fight for their respective side. So Wanjing now to serve for, it's Amber Ho to serve for Nan Chiau. Remember, they're fairly strong in the singles, but this time around might be a different ball game. A couple of unforced errors from Amber that have got them leading in the points. So it might be interesting to see what the finish is in this particular event. Here's Wanjing. She's got herself into a comfortable lead, and it's those unforced errors, as I said earlier, from Amber. The inability to get the ball down on the table, just a forehand drive letting it down a couple of times over. She's tried to use a bit of topspin every now and then. That's been a bit difficult for her to just get the right angle. Now serves at 3 points, and certainly looks like Wanjing of Anderson has raced away with 5 straight points, and a couple of them have really been gifted to her. Hasn't had to work up a sweat to earn them, and that's exactly what I mean. She's now cruising towards, a first game point. Does back in a little bit of spin when she can, the young lady from Anderson. And that's wisely left, you'd say, for Amber. And that's not going to be easy for her, as Wanjing sits with a few game points in the bag. Can she cap this off, win the first set? Just the right amount of backspin, a decent enough rally, and that's pretty much it, as Wanjing claims the first game 11-4 over Nan Chiau's Amber Ho. Stay with us as we find out what will transpire in this game. Remember, this is the decider. Whoever wins this match will win the 3rd position for their school. So we're back into the action right here at the Naval Base Secondary School. Interesting matchup that's on between Nan Chiau Secondary and Anderson Secondary. Nan Chiau winning 2 singles events and Anderson winning 2 doubles events. But this time around, it might be a turn of fate for Nan Chiau, because Anderson have got the lead through Liao Wanjing. She has 1 set in the bag. Really trying to fight back. It's Amber Ho of Nan Chiau. She's currently leading 3 points to 2. Anderson's Wanjing. A few errors from her might put the ball into, well, Amber's side of the table. Just packs in a decent amount of spin. Have seen her using, well, the side as well as the backspin, and that's been fairly interesting to notice how she's worked things. And one thing about the girl from Anderson, Wanjing, loves the game. She's very passionate about the sport. She's actually enjoyed playing it. Did have a chance to talk with them earlier. If you didn't know this, both these schools do train for 2 sessions a week. And if you think that's easy, they do about 3 hours per session. The coach of Nan Chiau is Ma Minglu, another player who is known for her skill, even more now for her coaching skills. And just a stare back as Wanjing is surprised by the aggression now being put forward by Amber. She did struggle to get the smash in earlier. She's trying to keep her top spin a bit low, and it was bothering her, but that's changed. It's changed entirely. Just getting her confidence back. She now leads 8 points to 6. Not for too long, because it certainly looks like Wanjing is drawing close. So it's been neck and neck for most of these battles between Anderson and Nan Chiau. So even Stevens in the second game. Remember, we are playing a best of 5 as far as the matches are concerned, as far as the sets are concerned as well. And we've been delighted by the fact that ours has really been stretched. Every single game there's been a battle. It's been neck and neck. Neither side willing to throw down the racket or the bat first. Was looking to finish that, but it is once again Wanjing who rises to the occasion. So Anderson currently lead 2 games to 0, and it could be Anderson to cap this off. Very crucial for Nan Chiau to fight it out in the next game. And can Amber, well, shoulder that responsibility to keep her school, well, still in the running for 3rd position? We'll find out. Stay with us. So into the 3rd, it might be the final set, or it could be a set where Amber Ho fights back to keep her school on course. So it's 1-1 in the 3rd game. Yes, Amber to serve. Wanjing doing her best to knock it back. I must remind you, of course, that this is the B Division Girls, not Zone Table Tennis Championship. We are down to the final event after this. This is the 3rd and 4th place that Anderson Secondary and Nan Chiau Secondary are fighting for. Oh, lovely long rally. Thought they could have kept it going for a bit longer. So currently it's Amber who leads by 3 points to 1. Oh, that's called a finish. It's an absolute finish. Wanted to smash that Wan Jing. She's been able to do that not once but twice. Wants to quicken the process. Draws a level on 3 points now to stay very much in this game. Remember, she's holding 2 sets. But right there in the palm of her hand. Has a decent return of serve as well. She's been able to put back most of those shots on the table. And it looks like Coach Ma Ming-Lu wants a timeout. And that's exactly what's going to happen. Coach can see that Amber Ho, well, just being a bit underwhelmed. She's let the Anderson girl race away with a few points. So the battle rages on right here at the Naval Base Secondary School. Remember this day, the 26th of April 2021. We didn't have too much of action last year thanks to the COVID situation. But this year, it's a change. And more power to, well, the organizers for putting this together. More power to Singapore School Sports Council. So we resume. It's Amber of Nan Chiau serving at 3-4. Level points there. The timeout always the best possible option. It sometimes can work to break your player's momentum, but that isn't happening here for Wan Jing, who's just come back to her natural ability to prowl for a finish. And I think that's what Coach Ma Ming-Lu would have said to, well, Amber, about not giving the opponent just that chance to smash. Well, we do remember in the previous doubles game, one of the pairs did not like to smash. You could toss up anything and they would spin it, kind of like the game that I would have played back in the day. But in this game, when you find a player that likes to knock the ball down at every opportunity, you don't want to serve it up to them on a silver platter. And that's exactly what I meant. She's actually just progressed in leaps and bounds, the young girl from Anderson. Liao Wan Jing. She could hold the key in today's game. Has a gentle style when she serves, but just turns on the power button and she's got to get aggressive. Well, it's all peaches and cream for a bit. Decent rally there between the ladies. And just aided by the edge. Rightfully said, just holding the edge maybe slightly in this game. A bit of pressure on Amber of Nan Chiau. She just knows what this game means, and it's pretty much game, set, match point for Anderson. And still holding on. Very, very admirable for Amber Ho. Remember, if she claims this set, she could just throw a spoke into the wheel. And now, slight bit of nerves for Liao Wan Jing. She wants to finish it. She knows she's just a point away, and this can be so detrimental. It's about maintaining your nerve and your cool at this spot. It's not always the ones that are behind on points, and that's what I meant. Needs to calm down, collect herself. She's let Amber Ho, well, come closer. And that's exactly why her coach would need to talk to her. Coach Wu, who has been with Anderson for 6 years now. He's seen all these young ladies actually develop from the time they were in primary. And very interestingly, one of the previous pairs that came on, Delicia and Amanda Tan, who was the captain of Anderson, they have been playing together, not just as friends, but table tennis since they were in primary, since they were little kids, and I mean really little children. So they've just been best friends, doubles partners, and stayed with the game. Very impressive. So here we are. What will the outcome of this game be? Amber serving for Nan Chiau. She's on 8 points, and Wan Jing on 10. Remember, that's pretty much what she would have been looking for. Another point, so she's drawn closer. Amber now just a single point away from the deuce. Oh, what a fight back from the Nan Chiau lady, and suddenly drawing on. Well, in her spirit, she's a point ahead from being a couple of points behind. She was actually 5 points behind at one point of time. So a change of initiative, a change in the temperament, well, so important. But could this be a bit too late? That's something you want to ask yourself. And Wan Jing, the nerves just getting the better of her. She was so close to finishing it off for herself and for her school. And that's been an interesting event from being far behind. Amber Ho comes back to win this 12-10. So she's staying in this last game. It's now 2-1. What a turn of events. What a turn of events this is turning out to be. Liao Wanjing could have finished it. She had about 5 or 6 points where she could have actually nailed it off. But all those match points have been nullified. And it's Amber Ho who's got back into this game. So 3 sets done. Score stands at 2-1 in favor of Anderson. Let's find out what transpires in the next game. And into the 4th game now. This, of course, is a set that matters so importantly for Nan Chiau, but more so for Anderson. And I was talking about how your nerves can get the better of you, and you've got to keep it together at that crucial time. Sometimes the excitement of finishing with a win fast and being so close to it can be overwhelming. So it's certainly a huge change, and I think that Coach Ma Ming Lu, who's been responsible for the development of so many youngsters, has actually groomed them for, the professional stage. And I think that makes a big difference, the talk that she would have had earlier with Amber Ho. So Amber is really trying to fight back. She's got a bit of that aggression back. She's trying to smash, because earlier she was just being dominated in the first 2 games by Wan Jing. Wan Jing now trying to pack in a bit more of spin on her serve. She's just a point behind the Nan Chiau youngster. And this, of course, can be a bit of a bother when you're trying to smash, trying to get that ball down perfectly. Can be a bit of an issue. So she's held her own for most part of this game. And can the young girl from Anderson Secondary pull off a win here? Well, that's a big question. She just needs to win this set, but if she doesn't, and it's a girl from Nan Chiau, that's Amber, to win this set, it'll go on to the 5th game. So what a battle. What an exciting, exhilarating battle it has been between these 2 schools. Still trying to keep it together. And I just believe it's just those nerves that have been getting the better of her, Wan Jing. Her temperament just changing a little bit. But she's comfortable. She's at 9 points, while Amber of Nan Chiau is at 5. Oh, that backhand finish just letting her down a little bit. Tried to pack in the... Well, just a deft bit of top spin, and you don't want to do that when you're too close to the net. Keep it gentle. So there we have it once again. Now, can she hold her nerve for this one? Liao Wan Jing. Game, set, match. And there we have it. It's done and dusted. It took a bit of time, but it is Liao Wan Jing to get the better of Amber Ho, and she's won it 3-1, which means the 3rd place finish goes the way of Anderson Secondary School. So Anderson Secondary School defeating Nan Chiau to push them into 4th position. A very interesting battle. It started off in Nan Chiau winning the first singles by Wan Hui defeating Giti. Then a doubles comeback from Anderson with Xuan and Yonggi getting the better of Mildred Theo and Ying. That was followed by another singles event where we saw Tan Si Ling and Dai Yun Shi in battle. And again it was Si Ling to win for Nan Chiau. And we did have then another doubles encounter, which again was won by Nan Chiau, which was Celestine and Lim Shi-ying. And finally, the finale for Anderson, Lia Wanjing defeating Amber Ho to finish with Anderson in 3rd place and Nan Chiau High in 4th position. We will have the prize presentations in a little bit from now, but do stay with us for the finale, which kicks in a little later when Yishun Town will take on St. Nicholas Girls High School. I'm Glenn Mascarenas, and we are right here at the Naval Base Secondary School. The action continues in just a little bit. Stay with us.